Welcome to a new season of Casual Side. I am Anaïs, your new host, and I'm very excited to be part of the Casual Side adventure. Today, we are talking to Madeleine Van Heusden, Talent Acquisition Advisor, and Jean-Baptiste Mahieux, People Relationship Management Team Coordinator here at PwC Luxembourg. Both being part of the HR department, Madeleine and Jean-Baptiste are able to answer all of the frequently asked questions regarding recruitment and career management at PwC Luxembourg. Let's get started. Hello, Madeleine, Jean-Baptiste, how are you doing today?
Hello, doing well. How are you?
Hi, yeah, very well. It's the start of the year, we just come back from vacation, so feel fresh and ready to start.
Mm-hmm. And it's Friday, so almost a week.
Friday,
exactly.
so
Yeah, it's Friday.
Already good news. Yeah.
Almost the weekend.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thanks for being with us today. To start off, maybe you can tell us a bit more about who you are and what's your mission at PwC.
Sure. So I'm Madeleine. I'm a recruiter here at PwC since July 2022. So it's already been 2 years now. When I first started, I was recruiting for all the support lines that we have at PwC. To give some examples, like the marketing department, IT, finance, market research. And since beginning of this year, I've been recruiting for the assurance department. So basically all the auditors that we have, as well as some other sub-teams like sustainability, for example. And I am also still recruiting the secretaries that I was recruiting before. So I kept these as part of my scope.
And on my side, my name is Jean-Baptiste Mahieux. So I've been with PwC for now almost 6 years. I will celebrate my 6th birthday in December. I'm what we call people relationship, consultant, and therefore I'm here to help the people in their career, to support also our leaders, our managers on how to deal with all the HR topics. And working also directly with Madeleine, in recruitment to make the link between the recruitment and when people join the firm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I have a few questions for you. The first one is more recruitment oriented. So, Madeleine, as a recruiter at PwC Luxembourg, what would you say are the main qualities that recruiters are looking for at the moment? Mm-hmm. And what would you recommend to someone looking for a first position in Luxembourg?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it comes to the qualities, I would say it's always a mix of, let's say, more technical skills and also soft skills, of course. The technical skills, these really depend on the position that one is applying to. So if, for example, now in audits, you have someone in audit that applies to an audit position, we will be assessing your audit, accounting, finance knowledge. Then, let's say, focusing more on the soft skills, which are also important qualities that us as recruiters always kind of test, let's say, in the HR interview, is, for example, how you as a person align with the company, how you align with the company culture and the values that we have here, for example, at PwC. So here we kind of try to see if someone sees themselves within the company, how they see themselves working with different people from all over the world, because we work with so many different nationalities, that this person should be, let's say, able to work with different personalities, different cultures, so someone that really sees themselves within the company and also sees themselves developing within the company, which is also, of course, important in the career. I'd say these two aspects. And then I think the main quality or aspect would be the motivation. So the motivation for the position that you're applying to, of course, but then also the motivation for the company and also the motivation for Luxembourg. As I mentioned, people from all over the world. So we have people coming, let's say, directly from France or from the other side of the world, like the US. And so here we want to see really if the person sees themselves living in Luxembourg, or at least working in Luxembourg, if they've done maybe some research about Luxembourg, if they know friends here or have family here, and really, let's say, see themselves settling in Luxembourg and starting their career here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I do agree as a recruiter myself as well. I think those are important. I think curiosity is very important as
definitely,
well. Especially when you're a young graduate. You have maybe done a couple of internships, but you still have a lot of things to discover. Mm-hmm. So ask questions, get interested in things that are not maybe directly related to your studies, but that could be interesting for you in the future. Really look for any type of information that you could find about anything, really, so that you can show that you're really interested in developing yourself on several aspects.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with you for sure. And when it comes to the soft skills, I mentioned Madeleine just before. And it comes with a motivation as well, being proactive, taking ownership of your career. As of day one, meaning your career is not only after a few years when you have experience, it's also as of day one when you start looking for a job and so on. You need to ask yourself in which kind of environment you want to involve, in which kind of environment you want to develop yourself, and where you want to, as you mentioned, managers before, project as well a bit, even if it's the start of your career. And therefore, again, be proactive, looking for opportunities. Here also at PwC, I will go back on this maybe later, but the thing is we have such a big chance to create a big network also within the firm, to meet several people with different backgrounds. You need to learn from them. You need, I think it's a must do to, I would say, create this environment where people can meet different nationalities, meet different cultures and backgrounds, and learn from everyone. So therefore, proactivity, learning from the others, as you mentioned, is definitely key. Being curious, that's really important.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, when looking for a first job, which was also one of the questions that you mentioned, again, I think the research is super important before applying to any position or looking at any company. First, do research about the market, what is available, what industry are you interested in. Luxembourg has a big financial industry, maybe this industry, maybe another one. See also what is available on the market. And then, of course, do in-depth research about different companies. Then, JB, like you mentioned, building a network. Also super important before looking or when looking for a job, either building a network, for example, on LinkedIn, by connecting with different people from companies that you might be interested in, or building your network by asking a friend of a friend to invite you to a networking event, which is often also organized with all the expats in Luxembourg. Then there's also different events like Movie Job that we will be attending next week or in 2 weeks to, let's say, see different companies. It's a job fair that is organized twice a year in Luxembourg. To then there maybe meet different recruiters from companies, ask them questions about what they think about a company. I think that the networking aspect is also super important when looking for a job.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe something to mention as well. Your first position doesn't have to be your forever position. No. Meaning that especially when you're young and it's the first thing, like it's your first job, like it's okay to realize that it's maybe not what you really want to do. Sometimes you realize that only when you're on the job and you discover the real job in the real world. And lots of people actually, their first position, they realize they want to do something else and then they do something else. So it's okay as well to try some things out and realize that it's something else that would be good for you. It seems like, I don't know, when you're young, it seems like it's the most important thing to find your vocation from the first try, but it's actually quite rare. It doesn't happen that often.
Well, I think at university they always tell us, find your job and then stay there forever, build your career there. But
And even again, within PwC, we have this opportunity again to discover many, I would say, kind of job. Plus, even your job involved. If I go back to my presentation, I've been here for 6 years, but of course, and I do the same position, meaning my job title did not change. Nevertheless, my job changed a lot, meaning I have new responsibilities. I change also my portfolio of clients internally. So I see, again, different ways of doing. The leader I report to change as well a bit. So therefore, the way of doing things and the tools we use and even, I would say, our priorities are changing. And therefore, your job is not the same. And this is something quite important and which is definitely stimulating because, again, from a year to another one, you can see different things and develop your skills. So take this opportunity and try to learn, as we say, as much as possible. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of having different potential careers and so on, we have recently revamped our internal mobility process. So could you maybe tell us a bit more about what is an internal mobility, first of all, and what would be the advantages of it?
Yes, so the internal mobility program is basically designed. Well, let me give an example. If I am now working in the HR department and I would like to now discover maybe a position in the marketing team because I enjoy working on, let's say, social media platforms. This is something that I've always been interested in, and I realize throughout my career in HR that I would like to see this. So the internal mobility program basically allows you to move to another department within PwC, meaning you won't be leaving the company. So now going to your question about the advantages, of course, you then already have gathered all the skills that you learned in your position. You already know the environment. So it's not like you need to leave and you need to start at a new company and get to know the different tools that we're using and really adapt yourself to in the environment. So you already have this, and then you're joining a new team and you're, of course, learning new skills and you're bringing your skills that you already learned from your first team. So I think the goal is really to be able to stay within the company because you enjoy working at PwC, but then also seeing something else that you're really interested in. And this can either be short-term, let's say for a couple of months, but it could also be permanently that you move to another department.
Yeah, exactly. And we have also this kind, we deliver this kind of opportunities for people, again, as I mentioned previously, and as we discussed also about being proactive and creating the network is key also in the internal mobility process because you need to know exactly what we are doing. PwC is such a big firm that you might not know, I would say, all the departments, and therefore we might have some teams that might interest you behind. And we give this chance to our employee to try something else when possible, of course, based on the needs and based on their skills as well, their qualities. But again, this is an opportunity we offer, as just mentioned, Madeleine. And creating the network behind is quite important. Knowing exactly as well, by creating a network, what is the daily life of a position you might, I would say, be interested in. Meaning, meet the people who are doing this job and asking them what is their daily job, their daily life, This is also quite important because sometimes you might have your own idea about one position, one job, and when you discuss with the people, you concretely have, I would say, what is behind and what we do expect from you in this role as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, then we also have a question that comes up quite often from the people who are looking to come to work in Luxembourg, which is the housing options and the accommodation options. So there are several. Could you please tell us about those options? And maybe if you have some recommendations or tips.
Yes, very interesting discussion I think that we can have here. Well, of course, I will talk also a bit more about my personal experience. I'm personally living in Luxembourg, not too far away from the office. So you either have the possibility to live in Luxembourg, or, of course, you can live in one of our neighboring countries, Belgium, Germany, and France, and be a cross-border worker, which is what many of our employees
I'm on
do.
some.
Yeah. You're one of them. Of course, there are different advantages and disadvantages to both. Living in Luxembourg, you'll be close to the office, so maybe you'll spend less time getting to the office, depending on where you live, of course, within the country. It's not that big, so can't be too far. You can also then take public transport, which is also free in Luxembourg, so that's super practical. That's why I decided to take the bus and not the car to work. And yeah, I'd say the only disadvantage would be that the housing prices are more expensive than in neighboring countries. So if you do decide to live in France, Belgium, or Germany, it will most likely be cheaper, but you will be taking also more time to get to the office. So you might be stuck in traffic or your train got cancelled. It kind of, I would say it all depends on how much you're willing to spend, let's say, on rent, and also how much time you would like to spend to get to the office. Me personally, I decided to stay in Luxembourg because it's also where I grew up, so it made the most sense for me. But I also like the fact that I'm close to the city center, so if I want to go out with my friends and I want to get home pretty quickly, then it's quite easy. But yeah, maybe I'll let you, Jibé, explain your opinion about this.
Let's go on the other side then, because of course I commute every day from France. I'm living in France at the border. I would say in a city called Thionville, and I'm not living far away from the train station, so I commute every day by taking the train. And I would say when everything is working well, normally I should be at the office within 30, maybe 35 minutes. The thing is, we also have now, since a few weeks, the tram, I would say, station in front of the office, so you can even reduce the time. And basically I see many people, of course, taking the train like me. It's the same from people coming from Belgium or even Germany. And I must say that at least the effort in terms of commuting done by the different countries, the cross-border countries, is huge, meaning they invest a lot. And even more and more, you just have to read, I would say, on the press that we do invest a lot in commuting, and therefore it is, of course, possible to live on the other side of the border and work in Luxembourg, right? Yeah. Of course, it has, again, an impact on your life quality if you don't want to spend 35 minutes like I do in commuting, but nevertheless, it's something that is feasible, I must say. And I've been doing this for more than 7 years now, so...
And you're still here.
And I'm still here, And most of my friends also are living in France. They are doing the same. And that's fine. Just, again, it's taking the right decision for you, also based on your personal constraint, meaning if you have to commute by train or if you prefer to take the car. Indeed, as Madeleine mentioned, I would say using your car on the highway might be an issue for sure. If you don't have a choice, take it. Also, I must say, let's think a bit about I will say environmental impact, and therefore, if it's possible for you to take the train, I would consider and I will recommend people to take the train when it is possible for them. Yeah.
Do you use the satellite offices from time to time?
Yeah, from time to time it might happen. I must say that my personal decision is not to use them that much because as an HR, I want to be, I would say, really close to my people here at the office, and therefore most of them are coming to the office on a regular basis. And with the diversity of, I would say, profiles I have to meet, I prefer to, I would say, being here at Crystal Park. Nevertheless, it might happen that from time to time I benefit from the satellite offices, and this is indeed so a really good point to mention the satellite offices that people can benefit from. And of course, will reduce a lot of their commuting time. To give you an example, the closest, I would say, site office from my home is Dudelange, and if I go there, it takes me less than 15 minutes, basically. So even with a traffic jam, 20 minutes, no more. So of course, from time to time, it's quite cool to benefit from it.
Yeah. I think whenever it comes to the living in Luxembourg or living in a cross-border country question, it's a very personal choice. It really depends on what you're willing to compromise on and what are your non-negotiables. It really depends on your lifestyle as well, I would say. So yeah, then it's just like weighing the pros and the cons on each side and making your decision based on your personal preferences.
Yeah. I think a new joiner that joins as a trainee or as a junior might prefer to be closer to the office, to after work go out maybe for drinks with colleagues, and then if all your colleagues are living in Luxembourg, then yeah, it might be easier. But yeah, like you said, it's really a personal preference. If you have a family and you're looking for a bigger house, then maybe living in the neighboring countries would be a better and also a cheaper option. But yeah, I would say maybe before looking for jobs in Luxembourg, to also think about the different options. Yeah. Think about the locations of the companies. Are they close to the border? Are they close to satellite offices? Does the company even offer satellite offices like PwC does? Where are they? And then also the transportation.
Accommodation and the structure, so on. Yeah. But you're right, because this is also an important point, what you mentioned, Madeleine, because indeed satellite offices are not something that all the companies, I will say, offer. And therefore, I do believe it's one of the main strengths, and I will say a big benefit and effort from the firm to invest in such a structure for their employees, definitely. And we saw the change, I will say, in the past year, thanks to the use of the satellite offices again. So it's really, here for me, it's really a good illustration of caring about our people.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of caring about our people. Speaking of taking care and caring about our people, Jean-Baptiste, you're in charge of dealing with career management and so on at PwC. Could you maybe explain to us what someone joining PwC as an associate can expect from the mentorship side, onboarding, evaluation, and so on, career evolution?
That's a large question, actually.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I could speak about it for hours, I guess. Let's try to summarize then. Let's focus on associate, but it could be applied, I would say, to most of the new joiners, whatever their grades. When they do join, they have an onboarding experience that we have designed thanks to our internal team dedicated to that. And of course, the business supporting us in that direction. So they have, I would say, a welcome day that we organize, and also more than the welcome day, of course, we have a dedicated path, meaning they will meet important people in the first weeks. They will have dedicated training based on their skills and the team they will join. They have also the support of what we call a team leader. So a team leader is someone who will support you through your career and make sure you can develop yourself, meaning by knowing exactly what we do expect at your role. And of course, in terms of behavior, in terms of technical skills, they will be able to, I would say, guide you. And thanks to the feedback you will collect, and I will go back on the feedback just after, the culture of feedback we develop here at PwC, you will be able to develop yourself quite quickly, actually. If you are proactive, as I mentioned before, I repeat myself, but by being proactive, taking ownership of your career, for sure, again, you can develop yourself quite quickly thanks to the opportunity we offer. And therefore, the team leader will be there again to support you thanks to the feedback you receive. So the culture of feedback, we call this the continuous culture of feedback. It's something that we want everyone to be aware of, and therefore you need to look for feedback on a regular basis. Once you have finished a job with a team, ask for the feedback, making sure that you know what are your strengths, and what are, I would say, the areas of development you might have, and how we can support you after that. And most of the time, again, it works perfectly when people are proactive and taking this ownership to, I would say, collect feedback. Beside this, we have also the buddy. And the buddy is someone, a peers, so someone at the same management level as you when you join, who will show you all the tools, or will show you what, I will say, what is expecting from you at your level. And I will say, I used to say the simple question you might ask when you join, and you don't, sometimes you hesitate to ask this question because you say, it's so simple, I should know it. But of course you don't know. It's a big structure. It's a big firm. Let's talk about, for example, the acronyms. I guess in HR we have a lot of acronyms, right? Yeah. And therefore when you join and we tell you about a specific situation and we say, do you know about that? But of course not, because you have a different language. So you need to adapt. And nobody will be there to make the translation for you, actually, to show you exactly what does it mean behind. And again, help you in the coming weeks to make sure that the integration is doing well. You feel part of a team, and you feel also recognized as an individual, actually. All right. Beside this, in terms of mentorship, to come back on what we said at the beginning, it's about your networking. So it will be also your responsibility when you join the firm to create your own network. We have so many opportunities to create the network. The simple one, I will say the most easiest would be maybe the event we have at the firm level. Everyone is knowing about the Christmas market, which is the biggest, I would say, firm event in Luxembourg, but not only. It can be smaller events we have on a regular basis. We have a staff day once a year. We have also the POP, for example, where you can create new networks, so POP, people of PwC. So this kind of clubs linked to your passion, and you can meet people outside your team, outside your line of services, so you might there develop your network. We have also several professional events when you can meet new people as well. But again, it's up to you just to say hi and to meet the new person in front of you. We are really a big team. We are speaking about now nearly, to not say 4,000 people, and therefore create new network and discover new team members within the firm. So that would be my main advice on that. Then regarding the assessment, of course, here, as every employer that within Luxembourg, we do have a probation period to pass. So therefore, request feedback on a regular basis. We will assess you based on what you demonstrate. As Madeleine mentioned just before, during the recruitment phase, the recruitment skills, I will say, linked to the technical part and the soft skills. I do insist on the soft skills and what we call the behaviors. So we have, again, what we call a contribution framework at PwC. And on this contribution framework, we do have a PwC professional with the behaviors we expect at each level and from everyone. Based on the, I will say, our values, based on, I will say, the expectation we have on several topic aspects linked to the behaviors. And therefore, we do assess this part as well. It's definitely key. Do I take ownership, I will say, on my task? In terms of relationship as well, how do I behave? In terms of quality, excellence, that's all kind of element we take into consideration when it comes to the assessment. And then once a year, indeed, once people have passed the probation period, every single year we have, I will say, contribution assessment on a yearly basis. And here we assess again what you deliver and how did you behave compared to, again, this contribution framework, which is based on the behavior I mentioned before. We do have also what we call organizational goals by line of services, where we define exactly what we expect at each management level, so from associate to director. And again, what we do expect on this level in terms of delivering, right? And last but not the least as well, it's based on your soft skills behind as well, what you develop in terms of leadership skills, relationship skills, negotiating, and so on. So many large, as I mentioned just to you, Anaïs, I could speak about it for hours. I will try to sum up now, but I hope it give already an insight of what we do expect in terms of assessment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would say feedback is probably one super important thing in the PwC culture. Yeah. And it's not about receiving feedback from your managers or from people who are more up than you are in the structure. It's also like your team leader will ask you for your feedback. Yeah. And that's really important to have this 360 and not only receiving, upward feedback.
Yeah.
Basically, that's also really important. But that's something that surprised me when I joined, actually.
Yeah, but you're right, because the feedback is not only coming from top down, it's also coming from the people you're working with as peers as well. When it comes to a manager function, it's also really important to have receive feedback from, I would say, upward feedback, meaning the people who report to you as well, on your managing style, on how you deal with your organization of a team, delegating and communicating. So yes, indeed, you're right.
Yeah. Giving and receiving feedback is not always that easy, but
it is. I mean, learning how to give effective and constructive feedback is really tough. It can be quite tricky to know how to formulate things and so on.
Exactly.
But we do have offer trainings as well on how to give effective feedbacks, and like. Here's also where the networking is important, because you can also get the help from people who have done this exercise in the past and who can, help you pass on the message that you want to pass in the right way, basically.
I remember when I started giving feedback, it always sounded, not too structured. And then you learn, of course, over the months, over the years from, like you said, other people around you within your team or outside of your team, of course.
It's part of a learning journey. If you remember our model, the 70-20-10, so 70% of what we learn is by doing, actually. So you need to start from somewhere. The 20 by, I would say, shadowing. So I would say watching and try to learn from the others. And the 10% is, I would say, the formal training, how to do so. And it's exactly the same when it comes to feedback. When you have to deliver feedback, you need to start from somewhere. Of course, as you mentioned, Anaïs, we support with specific trainings and so on. But as soon as you know that you have to be transparent and you have a message to deliver, whether it is highly positive or you want the people to develop on certain aspect, of course, you will do it. I mean, if you need any help, HR is there also to support you, to know how to pass the messages. And we can even be there to pass the messages with you. But once again, you need to go for it. Being transparent, it's part of this culture of feedback I just mentioned before. It starts from this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, guys, Madeleine and Jean-Baptiste, for joining us today and for answering all those questions.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a super day. Bye-bye.
That's it for today's episode. And if you don't want to miss out on our upcoming stories, hit subscribe and feel free to share. Let us know what you think. Thank you for listening, and see you soon for the next episode of Casual Side.